I have been summoned. Let's talk about the Lotus Eaters. I hate to break it to you, but both instances are Odysseus' fault. Of course it is. It's Odysseus. I'm only going to talk about the Lotus Eaters in the cave. I will talk about the windbag another day. I'm sorry. Yep, I'm pushing it. After Odysseus and his men sack Troy, instead of going straight home to Ithaca, they decide to take the long scenic route. On the way, they decide to stop at Ismarus. Ismarus is a island that is very well known for their wine. It's where they get the wine to give to the Cyclops, to give to Polyphemus. See Ismarus, and Odysseus is, he's kind of drooling at Ismarus because Ismarus doesn't have any walls to protect them. And Odysseus, in pure pirate form, is like, hey boys, this will be an easy win. We should sack Ismarus. We've already sacked Troy. This will be just an easy, scoop. And the ships are already piled up with gold. They don't have room for anything else, but they do it anyways. And they sack Ismarus. The remaining survivors of this sacking decide to run to the neighboring villages around Ismarus. And they're like, the Greeks are coming. They have 600 men, 12 ships, and they're coming to take all and kill all and raid. And so the neighboring villages, Agamemnon style, rally up each other and get an army going. Odysseus's men and Odysseus are blackout drunk on the shores of Ismarus because they have just celebrated an easy sack, right? So they are blackout drunk, knocked out, and also their bellies are full. They are on cloud nine. The army shows up and is like, what's up? And as best as they can, Odysseus and his men stumble back onto the ships. They lose, I believe, 75 men. I think it's 72. They lose 72 men in the process. Something that could have been completely avoided because you didn't have to go to Ismarus. You could have just gone straight home to Ithaca where you've been wanting to go. Now you see what's going on. So then they make another pit stop at the island of the Lotus Eaters. They don't know this is the island of the Lotus Eaters. It's just an island. Odysseus sends 2 men and a slave to scope out the island. If they don't come back in a couple of days, they'll prepare for battle. The men don't come back. Odysseus starts freaking out. They guard up for that night, waiting for something to come and attack them, and nothing does. And Odysseus is kind of like, that's weird. So he goes out to go find these men. He finds his men. They're perfectly fine. If anything, they're actually better. Actually better than how they left. And Odysseus is kind of confused. He's like, what is going on? All of a sudden, the villagers, the Lotus Eaters, come out and they're like, oh my God, friends, welcome. Yeah, we fed the people you sent over here. Don't worry, we took care of them. We bathed them. We gave them dinner. Our delicacy on this island, lotus fruit. This fruit will make you so addicted. This fruit makes you high as a bat. These people are a little woo-woo, creepy, scary. And they're like, Odysseus, eat some fruit. And he's like, oh no, I'm just gonna take my men back. He's like, come on, boys. And they're like, no, we're good here. And Odysseus is like, what about your family? What about Ithaca? And they're like, I'm sorry, did you say lotus fruit? No? Then I don't care. I'm staying right here. So Odysseus has to tie up his men, throw them below deck, and tape up their mouths with whatever they used before tape was invented. These men would not go because all they cared about was lotus, because that's how addicting this stuff is. Now we get to another island. This is the island that Polyphemus lives on. This is the island with the cave. They are attracted to this island because there's a bunch of goat and sheep walking around. And, the men on the ship are like, oh my God, dinner. So they stop and they make dinner. Odysseus sees this cave on the island and he's like, that I want to go into. And all his men are like, whoa. Also, he brings his 12 most strongest men. This will be important because he loses all of his strongest men because he brought them into this damn cave. So Odysseus has got googly eyes over the cave. He's like, I don't want to go into that cave. And his men are like, Army 101, don't go into a cave because you can get trapped because there's only one exit. You really want to go in there, Captain? Odysseus pulls the boss card. He's like, I'm the captain. What I say goes. And so they go into the cave. In this cave is a full farming system. There's tins of milk and there's a whole you know, a bunch of goats, a bunch of sheep, and a bunch of like tins of milk. Like this is clearly a place where whoever lives here milks the goats and the sheep, and it's just a barn. The cave is a barn. And again, are like, okay, Odysseus, we're in the cave. Let's grab as much milk as we can. Let's just grab as much of stuff that we can from here and bounce. Because again, there's only one exit. Odysseus, he's like, no, I want to see who lives here. And Odysseus' men are like, huh? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna sit right here in the middle of this cave and wait for the owner to come back. And the men are like, but captain. And he's like, what I say goes, sit down. And everyone sits and waits for Polyphemus. You killed my sheep, my favorite sheep.